So now that I have showed you how to go ahead and save a program, write a program and execute it, I would be teaching you how to go ahead and first write comments in that. So what are exactly comments? Let's say we write a huge piece of code, not one code, not two. It is a big program. Let's say for example, you are owner of a gaming company. Let's say for example Nvidia or AMD, and you want to make a game based on that. So once you go ahead and do that, first you need to do is just go ahead and write multiple pieces of code. You cannot just write one single program. You need to write on multiple pieces of code over there, and you need to gather that, combine that, and then execute it. So let's say you want to write down that piece of code, but you cannot handle it to one single person. You need to give that out to multiple persons over there. You have a big company and you have hundreds of employees working under you. You need to give that out to 100 employees, one piece of code per employee, so that the works get done easily, fast and reliably. You give it to employee 1, he writes on his piece of code, then he transfers it to the second person, he writes, and as it comes to the 30th person, it goes on that way. And the 31st person, he's not present that day, and due to some other reason he won't be coming to the office, or he has just left the office. So for that now you would be needing another person. You are under the time limit and you need to write down that specific piece of code. You hire another person for that work, but he does not know what the work to do exactly. So because he has a huge piece of code in front of him that is written by 30 different persons, but he doesn't know actually where to start. So for that you need comments, and we read comment in this way. The hash sign is a very bit special in Python. Let's say for example you write print hello world, but after that we would be needing hash, that's the pound sign, and whatever you write after that is mentioned as a comment. It does not get executed even if you write a program after that or any piece of code, because it takes that just a comment as to know what it is doing. Over here you can say that username, we have used a variable, a statement, and we have used draw underscore input. This is for 2.7.9. What is your name? And when you enter that, you will the interpreter will ask you your name, and this pound get the user's name. This is the comment over here. It lets the user know if he's editing the program. It lets the user know that what this command over here does. That's the work of a comment, and it's very simple to write. Just write the pound sign, and whatever you write after that, it gets converted into the comment. Yes, it's very simple like that. So now we know what a comment is. We will move to the next section that takes us to strings. Single quoted strings, escaping quotes, that is the one that I showed you before. We can write the command in double inverted commas or single inverted commas. We can write concatenating strings, string representations, input versus raw input. That means which is a difference between Python 2.7.9 and Python 3.4.2. Long strings, raw strings, and Unicode. I'll show you that in a minute. So let me get back the interpreter to you. So now we have the interpreter right in front of us. So let's say we want to write hello world. So how previously we wrote was it like this, print parentheses hello world. If this is how we write if you want to print out a statement back to the user. If you just want to write down a statement, you can just write down hello world in this way. You can use double inverted commas or single inverted commas, and you will get it like this. If you write it in single inverted commas, it will just work as fine. It will give you out a hello world in single inverted commas. But what if we want to use the inverted comma? What if we want to use the text in a different manner? Let's say we want to say a comment without using print. Let's say hello world, and we want this in an indirect speech format. So what we will do over here is that first of all I will just write down let's say so that it's easier for you, and I will write this in double inverted quotes. So it will just print out let's say. But what if I print it out in single quote? It won't work, because over here you can see that what the computer takes the input is as it has the first quote, the second quote, and it ends this over here right away in the front of S before it even reads the next piece of code. so the computer won't read that, it won't understand what we're trying to say. So for that we need to go ahead and put a backslash in front of that. Now it will just print it as fine, and backslash is very important in there. I won't show you why we need that and how we can get rid of the backslash. I will show it in a future reference, but as of now this is how we work. We need to use the backslash to write down a simple statement without using print. If you're using print, let's say for example, then you won't be needing the backslash. Say print, I just misspelled that, okay, parentheses, inverted colons, and over here parentheses as well. If you write it this way, you would still be needing the backslash here, and we can write say, but if you don't write it, it's again the same problem over here. That's why we need to use the backslash for that. But what if you want to write down a big statement? Let's say we want to write down indirect speech. See, here we wrote it this way and it gives out a statement as let's say. But what if you want to write down over here inverted commas, like let's say hello world. Let's say hello world. When we write it down, it will just won't be correct, because let's say I put a space in front of this, it will write it down in a normal format, that's let's say hello world. But we want this to be an indirect speech. That means we need double quotes after and before the hello world. So how should we write that? We need to write that in this way. We need to put this in single inverted quotes this way. But now we have a backslash over here with us, which we cannot remove as of now, and I will not show you how to remove it as of now, because right now you need the only thing that you need to understand is that how we can use this double quotes and single quotes, and how it will be used for a future reference. As to how to remove the backslash, I will show you in a future guide, but as of now that's how we work. And these are called as strings. And now let's teach you what concatenating strings are. Concatenating strings means just adding two strings together. The one which I show you, we had a problem over here writing let's say hello world, and we want to write down in a smooth manner. Then how will we do it? We need to use variables over here. Let's say a is equal to, let's say, and b is equal to hello world, and we just write down a and b. It won't work because it does not know what to do with these two variables. For it to know, we need to specifically give it out a specific instruction as to what to do that. We need to write down a plus b, and at that point it will give you out the statement as hello world. And I can see that we don't have a space over here, so I'll just go ahead and modify a. Let's say space. Now when we write a plus b, it will just write hello world. And if you want this to be me check, and if you want this to be in inverted commas, I'll just go ahead and put that down over here with b. I'll just write a plus b. Again, we have the backslash over here. I will tell you in a later example as to how we can remove that. As of now, you just need to know that this is called as concatenating strings, and how we can combine two strings to be one. Let me check.